also this morning we've had a lot of common themes which are also very exciting and very much aligned to the work that we do at the MasterCard Foundation. And I think key to what has been said is that transformation in education, in higher education, or in any sense, will not be achieved by evolution along the same trajectory. The paradigm shift is definitely necessary. New models, new approaches, new innovations in education and in the development of transformative leaders. And it's very important that Professor Tade mentioned that it's all stakeholders should be sitting at the table so that when those innovations are discussed, then truly they are relevant and also they provide the quality that is needed. And something I've heard a bit recently is that quality and relevance are not two separate things. They must go hand in hand at all times. So I would like to tell you a little bit about the work that we've been doing at the MasterCard Foundation. And Phil, please feel free to correct me anywhere that I go wrong. I will tell you about the Scholars Program, the MasterCard Foundation Scholars Program, which is really our signature program in education and learning. It is about developing young leaders. Oh, I'm doing well, I'm still on track. A cohort of leaders who will support social transformation and economic growth on this continent. And the key elements of the program are really about providing quality and relevant secondary and university education, especially for students who would not be able to access this education because of economic or marginal disadvantage. It is also holistic in terms of the financial provision and with social and academic support at the institutions where the students are located. Surrounded by all that is training and mentorship that reinforces quality, transformative leadership, and also linking to the community of like-minded people. So we're saying these are all young individuals from various parts of Africa who are studying together, studying with other communities, and therefore building a network. And by doing this, they will be able to advance transformation in the future. How we do this is through recruitment. We work with partners, so our partners recruit the scholars into the program. They're recruited and trained in institutions around Africa and around the world. I will share that information with you shortly, where they will receive the best that those institutions can offer them, as well as transformative leadership training. Students are also prepared for life after and life within the campuses where they are, so networks, opportunities for them while they are in school to also be able to appreciate, intern, learn the world of work, learn the world of academia, and expand their own wings, as it were, in their own personal development. And of course, transitions. How do they move out of their education and into the next stages of their life, whether it's in workplace, whether it's in continuing their education, or any other trajectory that they would wish to make. We have 28 global partners, 5 NGOs that we work with in the secondary school space here in Africa, and our tertiary partners are across Africa, across North America, and more recently in Europe. And we have a couple of odd ones, one in Beirut and one in South America. Where are we now? What have we achieved? A commitment of over $800 million in this program. We have 36 active projects, and each with a budget of roughly $21 million. We have about 35 scholarships committed. This is between 2013 and 2023. And in that time, we're hoping to reach 35,000 scholars, 26,000 at secondary school level, and 9,000 at university level. Currently enrolled are about 21,000 across these. 5,000 have graduated at various levels, And of those who have graduated at university level, 47% of them have actually returned back to the continent. 95% of our students come from these key countries. Oops, where am I? I hope I didn't miss out. Did I miss out that other chart as I was talking? Okay. Please tell me if I don't sound like I'm in sync with what's on the screen. Most of our scholars come from Africa, all across Africa. However, these 5 countries represent the majority of students, and that is because for those in the room who are Kenyans, the majority of those will come from Kenya, from our secondary school program, where we have 10,000 scholars under the Wings to Fly program here. See, it's not moving as fast as I am now. I have to keep turning. A majority of our scholars, especially at tertiary level, are in, dare I say, STEM. And many of them, in agricultural sciences, in engineering as well. A significant number also coming up in business. And we do not prescribe what our students study. They choose their own areas of studies. Initially, at the start of the program, we thought it might be interesting to say, why don't you direct the scholars into certain fields? But we found through self-selection it was easier and better for the students to select those areas that they felt are necessary for their own development. And so therefore they range from sciences to arts and humanities. This is just a graph showing you the number of graduates projected and current. So the foundation really believes in transforming the individual, as well as looking at the institutions that these individuals are attending. And the Scholars Program, much as it intends to really support the transformative development of scholars, also is looking to be a catalyst at transforming institutions that we work with. And we have learned over the years that the Scholars Program has been running, and this is since 2013, that there has been some influence that the students bring to the institutions, and that through the learning that we do at the foundation, we have also been able to bring to those institutional partners that we work with. And we find that it's good to share some of that learning. And some of the early things that we started to find out around recruitment, the approaches, the way many of the universities were recruiting their students, they're now changing that and looking at different ways, especially of reaching students from disadvantaged communities. Some of them, many of them, have also strengthened their offerings to students. Those of you who are from academic institutions here know that there are certain student services that you offer. And in partnership with the MasterCard Foundation, we've been able to expand some of those services beyond what is offered to the students that we sponsor, but also to what is offered for the entire institution. The partner network has been able to allow exchange of best practice across the institutions, and this is because on an annual basis, we bring together all our partners, the institutions and the students, so that they create a network among themselves. They exchange best practice, and out of some of that, new program models have actually emerged for the way the program is starting to look as we continue. For example, our partners at the Arizona State University and the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology have come up with a new model. There was discussion earlier, and I think a couple of presenters have talked about the advantage of doing their undergraduate study here, by here I mean in Africa, in a local institution, and then doing, doing their master's or postgraduate programs overseas. So our 2 partner universities came up with a program that will allow students to do their first 3 years in at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and then the master's program at Arizona State University. At the same time, faculty from the Ghanaian institution will be able to go to Arizona State and have exchanges with Arizona State faculty members. We talked a little earlier about the professional development of trainers. So if we can get that practice going across boundaries, then it will surely bring new life to the institutions. And then, of course, there would be an annual symposium that will be bringing together the thought leaders from the two institutions and others, especially in Ghana, to learn more from that network. We have another program with Queen's University in Canada and Gondar University in Ethiopia. And this is actually a very interesting one because Gondar has for many years specialized in training and also enrolling people with disability into this institution. And so the model with these two universities is supporting students at both undergraduate and grad level to complete their degrees at the University of Gondar. And then they would have support from Queen's University, where faculty from Gondar would undertake their PhD studies at Queen's University. And then joint faculty seminars and training, as well as research to enhance what the University of Gondar will be able to provide for the community in Ethiopia. Third program is with the University of Abomi Calavi in Benin. And this program is also interesting because it looks at really developing entrepreneurs. And this is a model where we also discussed with that institution what are 3 key areas that they feel are developmental needs for Benin. And they picked agriculture, ICT, and renewable energy sectors. And so the students at undergraduate level will undertake degrees in those subjects. Then they also have the opportunity to attend a business incubator program in those areas where they will be able to strengthen their technical capacity and their entrepreneurship. And in order to support this incubator program, which is really a first of its kind in Francophone West Africa, will be supported with technical advice or technical support from established incubator programs, either with universities in North America or with particular incubator programs in those countries. So we continue with cross-cutting focus areas at the foundation. So the students not only attend university and undertake their degree courses, but around that, they also have transformative leadership, where we define that really as the leaders who are ethical and who will really look at their communities and look at how they can contribute to the social and economic development in their home countries or home communities. We're looking increasingly at transitions programs to support the scholars, either coming out of secondary or coming out of tertiary. How do they transition successfully into meaningful economic activity or meaningful continued studies? And also building a strong community of scholars who have been through this program into a strong alumni network that crosses the continent. And we have developed a platform which is called the Baobab Platform, which is where all the scholars will be able to come, exchange information with each other while they're still students in their various universities or after they have gone on, have continuous professional development, be able to share what they're doing, how they're doing it, and what successes or challenges they're achieving with each other, such that years from now, we mentioned earlier how the 3 countries in East Africa worked together on various programs, and I imagine that translated stronger across the continent. So we have other higher education program models that we've been looking at. One key one is with RUH Forum, which is really looking at agricultural education There was mention earlier of Egerton University, which was a great college that was developing and producing agricultural professionals. And it has continued to do so, and we're piloting a program with RUH Forum. And please forgive me, I forget what the acronym stands for, but I hope there's some in the room who understand what it is. But it's an organization that works with universities across the continent in the agricultural space. So the pilot program we're running is in Egerton University here in Kenya and Gulu University in Uganda. They will also serve as demonstration sites, these universities, and there will be a challenge fund to encourage the young people who are interested in agriculture, and this is a whole broad spectrum of agriculture, to participate in this fund and come up with new innovations, new solutions in agriculture. And the second one is with Farway Uganda. That one I remember, Forum for African Women Educationists. And this will be a program enabling higher access. This model differs a little bit from our usual tertiary program in that it will not be a full degree program. It will be a program that will bring in students at certificate and diploma level, as well as some at degree level. And with this particular program, we're looking at providing literally a second chance, if you will. And once again, with that, with Farway Uganda, we identified 3 regions in the country that are most marginalized and looked at what are the greatest needs in those particular areas. Identified agriculture, once again, recurring theme, I think, across Africa, health sciences, and teacher education. And in partnership with 3 universities and 2 training colleges in Uganda, 300 students will be offered opportunities in these particular fields, and not only degree courses, but also technical courses, nursing, teacher training for younger levels, etc. And what is really exciting about this particular program is that the students will be drawn from those regions, will study in these universities which are selected because they're also in those regions, and they will undertake internships within the region, because the study done before the program indicated that a lot of people get training outside of their home region, get better employment opportunities, especially in the big cities, and then do not return, especially because they feel that the communities they're coming from are really very severely under-resourced. So the Ministry of Education in Uganda has already indicated that teachers who are trained, especially in languages, you'll be happy to hear, will be offered employment immediately on completion of their degrees, because there is a great need in this area for young people trained in languages, and of course we can't avoid STEM. So looking ahead, from what we've learned, just from this year, let me go back a bit. The foundation celebrated 10 years last year, so we're relatively young. And we then decided to take a year off to reflect on where we've been, where we want to go over the next period of time, how much more we want to learn, we want to do. And so we have taken this year off as a year of doing that reflection. And as such, we've also consulted widely to really get a better understanding of ourselves, of the areas in which we have been working, the type of work that we're doing, and how we can grow that and make it a lot more innovative, more creative, more sustainable into the future. So some of the things that we are learning early from that, which are of interest. We mentioned earlier about the recruitment. We've also looked at collaboration that was discussed earlier. What sort of collaborative efforts can we look at? We also recognize, and it's been mentioned here, about mentoring. How do you provide different ways of mentoring the young people that are going through the programs? What sort of support is required going forward? How can we collaborate to get that kind of support? And I think one of the best ways we've done that is here in Kenya with the Wings to Fly program, where there are other partners who collaborate. Where else can we extend that model? And then also on the Giving Back program, even as students are not going, some may not go back home immediately on completion of their degrees in North America, but what are they doing in terms of working with the community, with their home communities, even while they're away? The demand for scholarships will never end. So how can we look at how creatively those can be offered? And how do we also position young people for success, not only in their fields, but in the areas where they're looking to be? And what kind of institutional change, how can we measure that? How can we make sure that it is appropriate and as is required? So we have come up with some learning questions for ourselves in terms of how our programs are implemented, program implementation. How are we performing? What factors facilitate or inhibit that? The program impact, how are we measuring that? We do have learning partners who do that with us, as well as each of the programs running their own M&E and measurement activities. How can we play a role being a catalyzer of broader change? What kind of pathways can that take? And what does the future look like in terms of the design? How do we define what that will look like? And so we've come up with some critical questions, which, in switching things up, I would pose to you, rather than you pose to me. You see how I ducked out of answering any questions. How to design the Scholars Program so that we are able to stretch our investment. How to leverage the strengths and resources of our program, particularly the North American universities. How does the Scholars Program, or how can it contribute to capacity building in African universities? How do we design an account for programs that fall outside of the Scholars Program? And this was like the RUH Forum, for example, or the Farway program, which are not direct scholarships. What are the opportunities to advance thought leadership for the foundation? And how can the Scholars Program, how should the Scholars Program on defined disciplined areas be closely aligned with development goals of the countries on the continent, or how we work or where we work? So that's where we're at right now. And we're still soliciting input, comments that will help us arrive at answering some of these questions, or for us to delve deeper into thinking about what we're doing.